G'day folks, welcome to Stuff and Such. Today we're going to be discussing ranges at which we can zero our crossbow scope, and also the benefits that you might see from being sighted in closer or further away. Anyways, let's get into it. So there we have about 20 yards, and that's typically the recommended zero location you'll see from manufacturers, which is a good number. So we'll go ahead, grab the crossbow and throw one in there and see what we're at. Now, as you can see, we're shooting about 7 inches high from point of aim, which was right here. Wonder if I have a marker in my pocket. No marker. So, as you can see, we're about 7 to 8 inches high at 20 yards. So I'm going to step back now to 30 and see where it'll hit. Right now I'm going off my last year's zero. So we'll throw another arrow in and go ahead and shoot it. Wonder how hard these are going to make it out. Oh, they're going to be fun. Ah! Oh boy. Ah! Better mark that one with the pen. Here we are, 30 yards. So here was our last one. Here's our new one. We'll pull it out and mark it if I can. A little easier. 39, so 40 right here. About now it's probably quite not making sense what we're doing and why. Right now I'm just kind of establishing these arrows and their flight, and once I know that, then I can go ahead and make adjustments. So here's a 40-yard shot. It'll require a little bit of try on my end here to get her in there where it's supposed to. Alright, let's head down. So I'll try and make it clear here. So here's the arrow. We're still aiming at this center spot. Still 4.5 inches high. And here was our other two impacts. So that's our 20 to 40 yard spread with this crossbow. Now I'll pull this arrow and then we'll go back and have a chat. Okay, so let's try and illustrate kind of what I feel happens When I personally like to try and zero in my scope at almost the furthest distance I plan on shooting. The reason I found is that, so let's say this one arrow on the top is your scope and this is your actual arrow that you shoot. They're higher, the scope is obviously higher than the bolt by a good margin, probably almost 2.5 inches, so almost that far. And because it's such a short distance, what you're trying to do is get them to intersect. Like obviously the bolt has some flight on it, but you're trying to aim the scope to hit your arrow. So by doing that and having it sighted at 20 yards, you're essentially making it like this. We'll pause the video here and just throw a couple charts on here. So look at that column for the 300 feet per second. That's a fairly good average crossbow. And starting at the 10 yard sighting in, that column has 11 inches of spread, moving down to 15 yard sight in, 10, moving down 20, we're at 7, and at 25, we're at 6. So as you can sort of see, the further we move away where those, the intersection of the crossbow scope and the bolt, you'll start to enter into a bit of a planing where the arrow stops being shot upwards, starts to level off, where the gravity sort of shifts into then starting into its fall, as you can see on this chart here. So that's why if I'm trying to shoot all my deer or animals within 40 yards, I try and sight in at around 40 yards. Obviously there's a bit difference whether your bow's slower, or like this one shoots about 4,000 feet per second. So it is kind of a bit of a monster in that regard. So maybe your limits are 30 yards, which is fine. Maybe your limits are 20 yards. That's perfectly fine too. In our area, we have very few deer, so our opportunities and their are very slim, and also their awareness of all the things that are trying to kill them just in natural life has them on a very high alert. So if we get a deer within 40 yards, we're almost doing good. However, obviously you can get them closer. But anyway, that's besides the point. So anyways, I'm going to drop my scope down around 4 inches for the sake of the video. And then, so that it's on bullseye for 40 yards. And then walk in 20 and just show how much kind of flatter it is. For these scopes, they're fairly self-explanatory, but they're also kind of confusing too. So the direction in which you move is where you move. Like if you want to move your impact down, you move your impact down. So it's simple that way. If you overcomplicate it and think, I need to move my scope up so that it moves my impact down, you've overthought it. So typically, if you want to move your impact in a direction, you move it in the direction. So like counterclockwise says up. Does it focus? And clockwise would be down. So we need to move down. So we need to screw it in. It says 1/4 inch for 100 yards. We're roughly half that, so we're doing almost 1/8 of an inch for every click, which is, oh my, that's a lot. 8 times 4 is 32. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 38 is more of a lucky number. Alright, so we'll shoot one at 40, one at 30, and one at 20, and then go compare their impacts. Well, that's a dead lion. So that's 40. Ah. This lion does not have very good understanding. Alright, let's go do 30. Oh, my poor tiger's sick. It's not used to this North American climate. That's 30. That was 20 yards, but I was holding a touch high, so I'm going to try that one again if I can. One more. Well, I hope you stayed tuned till now, because this is when it makes sense. So we have 40, 30, and 20. And our aim spot is right here. It's currently shooting about 2.5 inches high at 20 yards. Now, some people that shoot rifle would kind of understand the analogy. 2 inches high or an inch high at 100 yards for your sighting in your rifle. Good for 200. Sort of same thing. Here, it's acceptable, in my opinion, of in the kill spot, and I would know. In a hunting situation, I would hunt, or I would hold just a touch lower, because. So remember how we did that adjustment back there, 1/4 inch for 40 mil, or 1/2 inch for 50 yards. If I needed to move this thing down 2.5 inches, 3 inches at 20 yards, we're looking at roughly magnified to the 5. So there's 5 20s in 100. So that means we would need to go 4 clicks to the inch. So that's 8 roughly. So we need 10. Then to the magnification of 5. So that is between 50 and 60 clicks just to zero here. Well, you know how much we moved it out there. We moved it around 38 to drop it 4 or 5 inches. So now you can sort of see what I mean by it makes a difference out there, but not as big a difference at 20 yards. I hope this video kind of shows you a little bit. Now obviously with my faster bow, if you have something like a 275 or 300 feet per second, you'll notice even more of this variable spread, and then you'll just kind of have to play around with what works for you. So anyways, I hope this video kind of shows you the reasons why I like to sight in around 30 to 40 yards depending on my feet per second on my bows. My old bow was 305, I think, and I used to sight it in at 30, and that I would stretch it out to maybe 35 for hunting, but that was about it. So anyways, that'll wrap up this little video. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any suggestions for the next video, what you'd like to see, be sure to comment down below. Like, subscribe like always. Glad to have you along. Bye for now, guys.